Today we're going to talk about a ballasted pebble roof system and how to incorporate that into mid-century modern architecture. So I get asked all the time, in terms of staying authentic, what roof would you use, Doug Cameron? And I love these pebbles, right? They just look so stinking cool. And it's very Frank Lloyd Wright-esque in that it's just organic material that doesn't really look like too much of anything other than some beautiful river rocks. Waterproofing this, how do you do it? What are the details? Well, it's kind of complex, but not crazy. We start out with a more traditional zip sheathing. We've got continuous foam insulation, and then we've got what's called a Den's deck board. I believe the Den's deck is a fiberglass board, kind of similar to Den's glass. And then on top of that, we've got some 80 mil TPO. And then from there, we've got a rolled mat material that's super thin. And then we've got this ballasted pebble. So that's the buildup. And in terms of how it actually functions as a roof system, we've got the high point of our roof right here and the low point over here. And then we've got a few skylights, which I'll show you later. And we just wanted to build a little frame around the perimeter of the roof. And that's going to allow us to maintain this pretty rock without it moving too much and or rolling off with rain and that sort of thing. So the frame's pretty easy. We've got some traditional galvalume just kind of rolled up like in an L, and it connects to itself all around the roof. And then at those low points where the water is actually flowing off the roof, we've got a perforated version. So you can kind of see that down there on that edge. And that just has a bunch of little holes in it that are going to appropriately allow all this water to fall off without us losing our pebbles. And so it works super well. It's handled lots and lots of water. People ask me all the time about leaves and stuff like that. You can take a blower, shoot the leaves off. It's not going to be perfect. I think you can see in the background I've got a little bit of debris over there. But really, it's not causing too much headache for anybody. And it allows us to have a really high performance roof that's going to last for a super long time. And speaking of duration of this roof, doing these pebbles, believe it or not, adds probably 15 years easy to this 80 mil TPO. Why? The sun, UV rays. So we've got now a UV barrier that is going to blockade those UV rays, which is ultimately going to be the leading point of degradation of this TPO. And with this covered, it's going to last much longer. We went ahead and did the top of the roof the exact same way for the exact same reason, even though that one's not visible for the street and from the street. And I think that we're going to have a pretty long lifespan of this roof. I'm guessing that it will last in the range of 40 years plus. So that's going to be above and beyond what we would have gotten out of our 80 mil TPO. The TPO we love because it's a continuous surface with the fewest amount of seams as possible, and the perimeter frame just was beautiful in terms of incorporating these nice clean lines into this mid-century modern architecture. All right, let me give you a quick tour of this ballasted pebble roof system. Come on. All right, so here's the perimeter that I'm talking about. You can kind of see right here, I've got some of the pebbles that have moved, right? So no big deal whatsoever. This is that mat material. That mat material just gets rolled down, and it's actually just held down with the weight of the pebbles, so there's no adhesion or anything like that. Here is an example of this perimeter frame right here. So if I can peel it away, that's kind of what that looks like, right? No big deal. Again, it just houses the pebbles, prevents them from falling over. Nothing too complex about this. All right, just put them back. People always wonder too, like, are the pebbles gonna blow around in the wind and the weather? And I'm just gonna say, I thought about that too, and they actually don't. It's pretty crazy. So there's a certain thickness that you wanna do. I think these are probably at about like an inch and a half or something like that. So over here we've got a skylight, which is another beautiful architectural element of this home. And this is not glass filled or anything like that, and it just allows the sun to be seen through, and it's just a really nice sexy cutout. You can see how this was detailed at all the corners, and we've got our frame build up, and it worked beautifully in conjunction with the architecture that we already had and didn't impact it negatively or even really add a new element to anything. So really happy with how it all worked out. Of course, this galvalume is super robust, long lasting, really ideal finish for this sort of application. And then let me show you over here on the edge what it looks like. So I'm gonna get down here. This is the edge of the material right here, right? So I'm gonna peel this back for us too. You see that, guys? And so that's really all you need, believe it or not, to get down to your drip edge and go down and around and off this roof. In terms of other things that are critical to this sort of roof, I'm gonna say, structurally speaking, always consult your engineer, right? Because what are we doing? We're adding a little bit more weight to this roof than it would have had before. So ideally, it's part of the plan from the beginning. And if it's not part of the plan from the beginning, you want to communicate to your structural engineer what you're considering doing. Make sure they are in tune with that and that they bless it and say that, you know, your rafters are sufficient, the spans are sufficient, and all that good stuff. So outside of that, I would say I would absolutely do this roof again. I highly recommend this type of roof, and I would totally do this roof on my own house. It's one of my favorite all-time roof applications. Okay, let's move over to another part of this roof. So part of the theme of this house was to wrap around this live oak that was in the center of the home. And we got this really cool kind of courtyard area. And because of that, we've got an additional roof here, an additional roof back there, and it's all straddling that beautiful tree. And as you can see, the debris really is not that big a deal. It hadn't been impactful, nobody's minded it, and it has not messed up this roof or any other element of this home in any way. Here's a look at this siding that I'm going to show you in another video, how beautiful it is. And here's also a look of incorporating plants into your architecture, something I am a huge fan of. So guys, for more videos like this, follow me on Instagram at DesignBuildDoug, and I look forward to talking with you again soon. Adios, amigos.